does it say, and I mean this respectfully, but you said, and I'm going to quote you here, that you observed those guys running out at 1 o'clock in the morning. What does it say for jailhouse safety and security when you see a jailbreak like that, but you fail to notify anyone, NOPD, the public, anyone?
We didn't say that.
What did you say then?
Yeah. We observed on the video later this morning. We had to pull that video.
He said you observed at 1 a.m.
So let's be clear. I said what we observed on the video through the investigation. So yes, when they looked at the video this morning after the staff realized they were gone, my investigators found that at 1 a.m. that's what happened.
Good evening. I'm Colonel Robert Hodges, Superintendent of Louisiana State Police. Today we gather to give an update on the 10 fugitives.
I wanted to stop and say thank you to the New Orleans Police Department, our unified command made up of the state police, of course, our federal partners, as they continue to work tirelessly on this manhunt to ensure that everyone is captured. And in the meantime, I want you to know that you are safe.
Also, have you lost trust in your deputies because you believe this was an inside job?
Some of them. We have really hard-working deputies, but we're not going to tar and feather everybody with the same brush.
Who need to hear this? But them 11 boys that escaped out that prison, they did not go through no toilet. They must really think we dumb, slow, or crazy to believe that they went through that little bit asshole. And they must think we really throwed off, that they really stopped what they was doing before they escaped to, ooh, let's write this, y'all. You think if you about to escape, you about to pause to let me write something? Baby, come on now. It was an inside job, and they trying to cover it up with that. They trying to cover it up. It was an inside job. That's why on the videos you see them opening them doors and going through the back dock. Them boys know somebody in that prison, bitch, a worker. You know, one of them girls that worked there.
Yo, this right here ain't no Netflix drama. This ain't Shawshank Redemption. This real life. Orleans Parish Jail, New Orleans, Chopper City. And what went down that night? Yeah, it flipped the whole city upside down. You got inmates who somehow vanished. No alarms, no lockdown, no nothing. Just abracadabra, poof, they gone. But when you start digging into the story, man, that whole escape, it don't add up. Not even close. Let's break this down. Piece by piece. Now peep this, I'm about to put y'all boys up on game. So here's what they told us. 10 men broke out of jail by going through a hole behind the toilet. Yeah, a hole. Said they took the toilet off the wall, squeezed through some metal balls and dipped. That's the headline they ran with. And if you don't know no better, you might buy it. But we ain't new to this. Let's look at what really went down. First off, how they even take that toilet off the wall. You ever been in the jail cell? That toilet ain't no basic bathroom setup. It's bolted, still, locked in place like Fort Knox. They talking like these dudes had a full Home Depot kit in there. Nah, ain't no inmate got access to tools like that, not even a damn screwdriver. So you asking me to believe these dudes locked down somehow get the gear to dismantle prison plumbing? Stop it. That toilet ain't moving unless somebody on the inside help. Somebody who got keys, somebody who got paid to wear a badge, flashlight, and stun gun. Next up, let's talk about them balls. Behind that toilet was a hole, sure, but there were still balls blocking it, and not just any balls, tight balls. Now look at the size of them inmates. They ain't no little dudes. Ain't no way they squeezing through that space. You could maybe fit an arm through, maybe, but a whole body and a full jumpsuit and shoes? Nah. Even if they stripped down to a drawstring boxes and greased up, they still wasn't slipping through that. The hole wasn't made for humans, period. So the question becomes, did they really go through that hole, or is that just the cover story? A clean escape like that should have left behind signs, shredded clothes, cuts, blood, hell, even fingerprints or fabric. But guess what? There were none. You telling me all these grown men crawled through that tight-ass hole behind bars and not one of them left nothing behind? Nah, something smell off, way off. Now here's the wildest part. These dudes was gone for 8 hours before anybody even noticed. Let that sink in. 8 whole hours in a jail with cameras, guards, hourly checks, security doors, and ain't nobody know they was gone. What was y'all doing? Catching Z's? Watching TikTok videos? That ain't no coincidence. That's negligence, or worse, that's collaboration. And peep this, security footage shows all of them running out at the same time. Now hold up, if they really had to crawl through some tiny hole one by one, it would've took time, like minutes, not seconds. A real escape like that, you ain't all hopping out like it's a parade. It's slow, quiet, and calculated. But on the footage, they bolting out in unison, like they got the green light from somebody on the inside. Let's talk security cams. The ones watching that area, they wasn't even being manned. Nobody was watching, nobody alert. How convenient is that? Them cameras supposed to be the first line of defense. Instead, they was basically screensavers. If somebody turned a blind eye, they did it right when it counted. So what did Sheriff Susan Hudson say? She went on the news and blamed faulty locks, said the doors malfunctioned, and that's how they got out. Faulty locks? Come on now. Locks didn't dismount that toilet. Locks ain't squeeze grown men through metal bars. Locks ain't keep cameras unmanned for 8 straight hours. That's called deflection, and we see straight through it. Then came the heat. WDSU anchor Travis Mackle wasn't falling for the banana in the tailpipe. He aired out the timeline, exposed that Hudson knew way earlier than she claimed.
What does it say? And I mean this respectfully, but you said, and I'm going to quote you here, that you observed those guys running out at 1 o'clock in the morning. What does it say for jailhouse safety and security when you see a jailbreak like that, but you fail to notify anyone? NOPD, the public, anyone?
We didn't say that.
What did you say then?
Yeah. We observed on the video later this morning. We had to pull that
He
video.
said you observed at 1 a.m.
So let's be clear. I said what we observed on the video through the investigation. So yes, when they looked at the video this morning after the staff realized they were gone, my investigators found that at 1 a.m. that's what happened.
He didn't alert NOPD right away. He didn't tell the public. She tried to run out the clock on the truth like she was up 10 points in the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl. And Mackle, he pulled her card, live, loud, and with receipts. That's when the city started paying attention. People asking questions. Why it takes so long to tell people? Why the lies? This wasn't no small time slip up. This was several inmates vanishing into thin air. If it ain't an inside job, it sure looked like one. Then came the political fallout. State Representative Amy Freeman stood up and said what everybody was thinking. She called for Sheriff Hudson's resignation, said this ain't just about the escape, it's about the whole system being broken.
I think the sheriff has one job, and she's not doing that job very well. And I don't think she should bother the public with inappropriately doing a job, or her malfunction in the position is not acceptable.
A new call for accountability. State Rep Amy Freeman says Sheriff Susan Hudson should resign over the jailbreak. She claims the sheriff failed to fulfill her most fundamental responsibility of keeping inmates in custody. But Attorney General Liz Murrill says that her focus is not on a resignation, rather public safety being addressed.
The investigation is looking what happened before the inmates went over the wall. I don't think it's constructive to address it in that way. I think we need to be focused on what the task is in front of us.
Sheriff Hudson also responded, saying that she is focused on finding the escaped inmates and securing the Orleans Justice Center. She says she has no plans to resign and will rather lead this office through its current crisis.
And she ain't wrong. How many more times this gotta happen before somebody gets held accountable? And if you think this was the first, think again. Back in 2009, the city had another escape. History repeating itself. Same problems, same excuses.
Not the first time the Orleans Parish Jail has been under fire for incidents involving its inmates. Back in 2009, Arthur Johnson escaped from the jail and was on the run for 3 weeks, even recorded a video of himself on Bourbon Street before being captured. Johnson was also involved in an incident in 2013 in which multiple videos of him and other inmates recorded inside the jail were released. The inmates could be seen using illegal drugs, brandishing a loaded gun, and using cell phones. No jail employees were fired or charged in that case.
This ain't no isolated incident. This is a culture, a system that used to faking it until they break it. Let's be real, the escape didn't happen in the vacuum. A toilet don't come off the wall by itself. Camera don't start working for no reason. Nobody accidentally forgets to check itself for 8 hours. Somebody helped, maybe not directly, but somebody turned their head the other way when it mattered the most. By now it's clear, that hole behind the toilet, that ain't how they got out, homie. It was a decoy, a distraction, something to show the public so they don't look deeper. But we looking deeper. We see under the surface, and what we see is dirty. This whole thing could have been stopped, could have been caught. If anybody was doing their job, if anybody actually cared, the inmates would have not went with their move. Instead, they let it ride for 8 long hours. That's 2 meals, a full shift change, enough time to make it out the city. They was gone before the alarm even rang. By the time anyone noticed, it was way too late. So here's where we at. Several inmates escaped. 8-hour delay, lies from the top, in a system that been broken for years. This ain't just about an escape. This about how easy it is to look away when it's convenient. Our truth gets buried under PR statements. Sheriff Hudson tried to spin it. Mayor Cantrell tried to peace talk it. The chief of police tried to use damage control. But the people, they know better. So the question remains, who gonna be held responsible? Because until somebody answers for them 8 silent hours, the systems will stay guilty.